Dr. Simi, for giving us an overview on how to identify the slow learners, what are the considerations to be taken, and what are the intervention techniques. Now, after identifying the slow learners, what we will see is how to help them out with their academic skills. Firstly, we'll talk about remedial teaching. This is an alternative approach for the regular classroom teacher for instructing the slow learners. Here we work on 1:1 basis or in small groups. The teacher tries to provide a conducive atmosphere and also tries to handle the problem behaviors of the child. Then they are also in close contact with the parents of the children, and they try to improve the self confidence and the self image of the child. And they also work on the prerequisites required for learning the content. And here they use activities, techniques, and practices which will help to enhance the skills of the target population, which are the slow learners. Then they also help them learn good practices for learning. The methods which are used in remedial teaching are discussed in the later slides. The first method is the differentiated. These are the outline of the techniques which we'll be discussing in detail in our next slides. The next slide, please. First, we'll talk about differentiated instruction. This is the teacher's response to the diverse learning needs of the students. Each child learns in a different manner. All the students, they don't learn in the same manner. And what the teacher does is he or she analyzes the prerequisites which are to be needed for learning that particular content curriculum. She also analyzes the learning needs, the learning abilities, the learning styles, and the interest of the particular child. Depending upon these observations, the teacher concentrates on modifying or differentiating the learning into what the content is to be learned, how it is to be taught, and how the learning is to be take place, how it will be observed, or how it will be evaluated. The differential instructions can be done by three methods, either by grouping them, as Dr. Simi said, or varying the time of completing the task, or changing the task. For example, if the teacher has to teach afforestation or deforestation, the learning techniques which she can apply is she can ask one of the groups to make charts which they are good at. For the other group, she can ask to make a model of uh, the content, afforestation or deforestation. And for the auditory learners, what she can ask one of the child to give a speech on what afforestation is or deforestation is. They will speak out what are the causes of it and what will be the effect of it, likewise. So by doing this, they are giving proper instructions to the slow learners. Moving on to the next technique, which is the experiential learning. Experiential learning involves lots of hands-on experience for teaching that particular content. This will help to retain the topic or the subject which is to be learned. And since they are being given multisensory approach, they will learn more easily. For example, for teaching phyllotaxy, which is the arrangement of leaves, what the teacher can say is you collect different types of stems. Then ask them to study the pattern. She can also ask them to draw them and stick them on their scrapbook. By this, what they learn is the leaves might be arranged in an alternative pattern, opposite pattern, spiral pattern, or world pattern. Another example of experiential learning is, suppose you want to know what are the states which are leading in growing, say, coffee or paddy. What you can ask the child to do is, on India's map, ask them to stick wrappers of brew coffee, or in the state representing Karnataka, which is the first, and second Kerala. Or for paddy growing states, they can stick paddy on the area representing West Bengal or Uttar Pradesh. Moving on to the next technique, which is the compensatory teaching method. Here, once you recognize the content, we use alternative modalities, mostly pictures, for teaching that content. And we can also use different modalities like films, videos, animated movies, etc., for teaching the content. For example, the corona pandemic. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, you can hear me? For example, the corona pandemic, once you pick up your phone and try to call someone, you get an auditory input about the corona pandemic, how it spreads, and what are the do's and don'ts for that. And another example, for example, if we need to learn the number of days in a month, what we can do is fist our hands, and then the bridges will represent the number of days having 31, and the low regions will represent the 30, except for February. Moving on to the next method, which is scaffolding. Scaffolding is actually teaching the content in small chunks which are related to each other. Each chunk will lead to the objective which is to be achieved. We can, these bridges are called scaffolds. For example, for teaching time or for reading time, you can first teach the child of the table of 5 and write 5 into on the minute's hand. And once the pointer points to 2, he will read it as, suppose the hour hand is on 12, he will read it as 12:10, because 5 into 2 is 10, and likewise. While teaching division, for example, 598 divided by 15, you can ask the child to write down the table of 15 and then do the division. Another example, for example, when you start with a new chapter, what you can do is you can highlight the new words or the difficult words at the starting of the chapter, give the meanings for those words, and then start with the chapter. Or for writing an essay on, say, Christmas, if he's not able to write, you can give him clues or points which will lead him to the essay writing. For example, when do we celebrate Christmas? Why do we celebrate it? Who celebrates? And how do we celebrate? And so on. Moving on to the next technique, which is mnemonics. Here, we use phrases or, say, acronyms for remembering a concept. For example, Vibgyor is the famous mnemonic which we use for remembering the colors in a rainbow. Likewise, when we are working on the mathematical expressions, we can use this phrase, taking into consideration the corona aspect, please enter my door after sanitization. The first letters of each word of this sentence will make the child understand the order in which he has to do the mathematical operation. For example, P is for parenthesis or bracket, E is the exponential component, N is for multiplication, D, the door, is for division, A, after, is for addition, and S is for subtraction. Well, in school, when I was in school, I had problem in identifying right and left in terms of Hindi. When they used to say daएं मुड़ in our march past, we used to face each other. I don't know whether I was wrong or my the partner was wrong. So what my sir said was, since you are a South Indian and you use dahi and you are right-handed, you can associate dahi with dahina. That's how I remember daya and baya in Hindi. These are some of the examples in mnemonics. Graphical organization or graphical representation is a fantastic way to make the child learn a content. Here we use pictures to map out the thoughts and the ideas. As I have shown in my next slide, these are, hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, go on, Padma.
The first one is a Venn diagram representing the animal cell and the plant cell, and the area of intersection in blue gives the common characteristic features of the cells. Then you have the flow diagram for the life cycle of butterfly. Likewise, in mathematics, many students have problems in understanding fractions. With this, you can ask him to mark, say, 1/4 and 3/4 and compare the area which is covered on the number line, and then so that he understand 3/4 is more than 1/4. Moving on to the next technique. When we come to the reading, writing, arithmetic part of the slow learners, they find it very difficult, as Simi also referred to it. They have problem in recognition of letters with the associated sounds. So we have to work on the phonics part of it also. The 3R will be discussing in detail in the next slide. For understanding the matter, we can give outline of the matter beforehand, which we will be taking in the next class. We can also provide them with taped lessons or a buddy fellow, as Simi referred. We can also help them in note making of the content areas. When we work on the phonics, we can tell them when you say per, you have to write, when it sounds like per, you have to write P, or when it sounds like ter, you have to write T, and so on. You can also help them by breaking long words like hippopotamus can be broken into hip, HIP, PO, then pota, and MUS mus. In Hindi, you can highlight the matras because many people have reading problem in these matras. You can join index finger and the thumb, and when you have to read pa, then you can say pa. If you open the index finger and the thumb, he will read it as pa, and remember it to read it with the matra. For writing also, you can do the same thing. We can emphasize on reading and spelling both at a time. For example, like we teach them ONE1, TWO2, that will enhance their writing skills. Then giving an opportunity to make them write on the board makes them feel as if they are teachers, and this will also enhance writing. And nowadays we have many apps which helps the student to do the reading and the writing. For working on mathematical skills, some tips which we can work with the child is by highlighting the operational part, whether it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You can highlight it with a different color. Similarly, you can use dots in the units place for him to understand where to begin the operation with. Then, while doing the problem sums which have sentences in it, you can beforehand tell them the meaning of what does the sum of mean. That means addition. What does times means? That means you have to do multiplication. If it says these many were less, then they have to do subtraction and all that. Then you can also reduce the number of problems given in that particular page for that child. Moving on to the next technique, which is mostly for reading, the SQ3R is a great reading method. Actually, it's for teaching reading, and it is the acronym for survey, question, read, recite, and review. In the survey, what you do is you scan the text and pay attention to the layout, the sections given in it, the graphs, the pictures, or the highlighted words. The question, you ask yourself what you know or what I know, then what are your goals and what is the author trying to convey. The first R is for read. You read actively and try to answer the questions given in the text. When you recite, you read it aloud and try to repeat it in your own words, and then ask yourself questions and also try to explain to someone else what you have understood. And then at the end of it, try to write a summary of whatever you have understood. In the review part, you read the relevant parts again, then go through your notes and questions again and pay extra attention to the difficult parts. The read method, which is the read, encode, annotate, and ponder, it's very much similar to the SQ3R. In the evoker method, which is normally used for prose poetry and drama, but it can be used to explain different aspects. In this, the E, which stands for the key idea, is the main content part. For this, we explore on the content aspects or the curriculum aspects. For example, while doing a lesson on giving information on a particular state, say for example Maharashtra, what you do is you explore and read about the state first. Then you do the vocabulary building, which is the V part of it. In vocabulary, you can think about what is the language which is used in it, used in the state, which is Marathi, what is the capital, what is the folk dance of Maharashtra, what are their staple food, what are their famous foods, what are the clothings called, which they are, which they wear. And for oral reading, what you can do is like Ganesh festival is the famous festival which is celebrated there. You can give a picture of it and ask the child to read what he sees in that and what he understands in that. The key idea we discussed earlier. Then you come to the evaluation part of it. E is for evaluation, which is not given here. You ask probing questions to try to find out what the child has actually learned. Did he learn or not? And then the recapitulation, which is the summary of the whole thing. Now, looking to all these aspects, to sum up, what do we need to do actually? We need to develop lessons to incorporate the interest, needs, and experience of the slow learners which you are dealing with. Then you have to frequently vary your instructional technique. You have to incorporate individualized lesson plan for each child and incorporate, as Dr. Simi said, audio and visual materials to enhance and retain the content. You have to develop your own worksheets, because worksheets that are given in the text might not be very easy for the children to do it. You might have to simplify them. Then you can provide them with peer tutors. You can encourage oral expression instead of written expression, as Dr. Simi said. And lastly, you have to be very considerate. And if you try and use these methods, everyone will learn. Slow learners will also learn, but at the same time, all others will also learn. And once you try to find out what their abilities are and what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are, I think you can figure out which method to take on for teaching that particular child. And I do believe that children do learn given the way they can learn.